there's, in our opinion, a clear like lacking in graphical fidelity and gameplay from even titles like Zed Run, which are viewed as like a standard bearer for gamified projects that use deterministic, verified randomness as part of their core game loop. I think it was like Zedron got like 20 million or something invested, and all they could produce, still to this day are like really pixelated horses that run in a circle. So we kind of wanted to create an experience that would be a lot more engaging, a lot more exciting, with much higher graphical fidelity, and include a bunch of different avenues that different people of varied interests in terms of like what they are looking for in a game could get out of it. So we've sort of envisioned a ancient Greek Acropolis setting with different areas of the Acropolis. So there will be a Colosseum, a marketplace, an agora where people can just like go and chat and hang out, training grounds, so different like areas, and we're gonna make like a little VR mini world to go with it. But the plan is to have a desktop version as well for people that don't like want to use VR, and so there'll be different activities that can be performed that all sort of like intermingle and help support each other. So for people that don't really want to, so I guess I should get back to like the foundation for it is gladiatorial combat and chariot racing. Similar to like Alluvium, which uses when creatures fight in Alluvium, once the game, whenever it is released, it's sort of almost like a simulation where you have a bunch of different traits that determine how the creatures that you're going to fight, will like engage with each other through the course of a battle. One taking one attack after the other, and so we're basically going to create an MVP of this gladiatorial combat simulator game where people have gladiators, and based on the different weapons and armor and different upgrades and things like that, there will be a really high quality, almost simulation that is generated throughout the course of these two gladiators fighting, and so that in conjunction with chariot racing, sort of similar to Zed Run, but with various combat mechanics put in as well, because in ancient Greece and ancient Rome, when they had these like spectacular chariot races, they were armed and they would attack each other from the back of their chariots. So we're going to have that as like a foundational model that sort of this entire mini economy centers around, because people that don't really want to race chariots and don't want to fight gladiators will be able to craft and upgrade different NFT items. So like different things that can go on the chariots, different weapons, different pieces of armor, and they'll be able to do any number of things with them, including selling them to into like an open marketplace. We're gonna basically have like a it's different. It's complicated basically, but we'll have a store that will allow them to sell to the store if there's no buyer. But then we're also going to have the ability to like sell to people that want to buy the items. So if you don't want to like engage in the game and like play the the game loop, you can just craft items and sell them to people that want to buy them and use them. Similarly, there'll be a multitude of like rental systems built in as well, because certain items will of course become extremely valuable, and people might decide they don't want to sell them, they want to like rent them out for a fixed fee or whatever.
Got it, got it.
So you kind of get where we're going with this. There's different aspects of this platform that are all going to kind of connect with each other. Another one is a betting market system. So people who don't want to like craft and don't want to sell items can just speculate on the outcome of matches. And it's really simple to set up. All they have to do is essentially put a certain upfront fee into a pool, and then the winner of the bet is paid out at the end. So yeah, basically all these different interconnected supporting systems.
Great, great. Thank you for such a detailed response, and thank you for coming by again. So we have a lot of GameFi projects that we see in the space. Axie Infinity. Like we are having like a bunch of GameFi projects come along, and so just really quickly for anyone who may be interested in Halls of Olympia, like what what do you think differentiates House of Olympia from, say, other GameFi projects right now?
Well, I would say, and I know a little bit about this because my background in crypto is basically working almost predominantly in GameFi. So the vast majority, I would say all but like probably five that I could list on one hand, are essentially just like glorified, fancy UIs that go on top of DeFi protocols. They're not centered around making fun, immersive, engaging gameplay. They're centered around clicking a button a bunch of times, as a proxy for yield farming. So I mean, they increasingly come up with complex, confusing tokenomic models that are designed to keep people engaged with the protocol, because the gameplay isn't fun. And what happens with that is you get these token models, especially dual token models, which Axie kind of pioneered. And most GameFi project has just cookie cutter copied the Axie dual token model, and it's designed to essentially have a really high inflationary um, the utility token, which is used as like the in-game reward, and it's almost inevitable that these ecosystems that are built like this end up dying after weeks to months because they're just completely unsustainable. You have a inflationary token which is constantly going to be emitted and used as the one mechanism people have to extract value from the system. So the token gets dumped to zero. People get sick and tired of clicking a button a bunch of times to earn what is now no longer valuable, and they leave the ecosystem, and the project collapses and dies. There are certain ways that people have tried to prolong the lifespan of these, essentially like Ponzi-nomic game cycles, but they're really difficult to get right, and you have to incorporate all of these just like complex, unnecessary mechanisms like token locking and things like that. So um, the core differentiators from behind what we're doing is, number one, we don't have like a ridiculous Ponzi-nomic token model, and number two, I can get into the token model later if you'd like, but number two, we also are actually looking to make a game that's actually fun. So that's the first thing that we're leading with. We're making an experience that has a bunch of different aspects that people, different game, styles and approaches can all enjoy, and really engaging, invigorating graphics, graphical fidelity, just to make the experience something that people will enjoy.
Yeah, man, the virtual reality support also sounds awesome. But we had a previous GameFi project here, which was Station Zero X, and I also talked about this with them, that people forget about the fun in these types of games, and you put it amazingly well when you say it's just yield farming with extra steps, yield farming with
Yeah.
extra steps. And then you talked a little bit about the crazy inflationary models, and that segues amazingly well to our next question, which is all about those models. We had countless amazing games. I mean, amazing in the sense that they were very popular and they were addicting and people were jumping on them and aping, etc. But they all end up dying because the coin goes to zero. Um, what I'm interested in asking is, how exactly are you guys thinking of preventing this? And if preventing this takes away the advantage of early investors, or are early investors still rewarded? So it's a 2 points question.
Yeah, so, well, first of what I would preface all of this with is, when we initially launched the project, we attempted to use the actual NFT mint of the Gladiator avatars to fund the development of the MVP. And given the market conditions and the illiquidity of an NFT asset, most people were not willing to actually invest to fund the project. So after the mint was called off, we decided to regroup and come up with a new plan, how we could essentially come up with means to fund it, and we decided to move up the token sale, and so I spent about a week rejiggerating the token model, and anyway, so that's just kind of like the background context for this. the token model itself is a mono token model. There's not two. There's only one. It's not inflationary in that it has a fixed capped supply of only 10 million. And so the reason why it's not, it's designed to be long-term sustainable is because it's not the main value transfer within the system. Within crypto, we have any number of assets that can be used to transfer monetary value around, namely stable, and if you're transacting on Ethereum or Avalanche or any chain in general, you can use the native chains token as well. There's no need, and I still, to the life of me, don't understand why Axie decided to try and use its own token as its own reward mechanism, because of course people don't care about in the case of Axie, SLP. They're not like holding on to SLP and like buying products at the store with it. They're selling it to get a currency they can actually purchase items in the real world with. So from my point of view, there was never any like good reason at all to integrate more than one token, and these GameFi protocols should never have treated their token as the actual transmitter for monetary value. It should be treated sort of as like a required item that you hold on to in order to access the protocols and the games at all. So it really is tied to the value of the ecosystem. And so if no one plays the game because it's not fun, no one will have any incentive to hold on to the token, because you need the token in order to play. And that's the model we've essentially built with Halls of Olympia. You will need the native token in small amounts to perform any kind of crafting or any kind of upgrade. You'll need to have certain amounts in order to enter betting pools, in order to enter racing and matches. And then also there's various benefits to having certain amounts of it that you then stake. You get to claim a certain percentage of protocol revenue paid out in ETH or stables. And the way this works, of course, is that there's a little fee levied on pretty much every transaction within the game. So when you want to upgrade something, when you want to sell something, when you want to enter a betting pool, when you want to get your payout at the end of a race or a match, if you've won, there's a small fee that's levied on everything, and it's all routed back to the treasury, and then a certain percentage of that is paid out to people that stake the native token. So what we essentially created is a system where the native token is almost like hyper deflationary in that there's really no sell pressure on it at all. And so what we have done is also integrate a much smaller fee placed on the native token itself to perform any kind of like in-game action. And so that allows us to do is over time build up adequate reserves of the native token within the treasury as well. So we're creating sort of like a very mild method of pulling the token out of circulation, so that we can sort of like control the price to some degree. Obviously, there will people be speculating on it and just trading it on the open market, but by having access to like a lever where we can basically decide we want to sell a certain amount onto the market at any time if we needed to, it will allow us to reduce the price of the token if it were to increase too much.
Got it. Yeah, there seems to be the tokenomics and everything seem to be very thought out based on your experiences and just like what you believe to be the best for the protocol. And I think that's really fascinating. And so, this leads into our next question, which is, you guys are starting out with Halls of Olympia. I know you guys have a lot that you have in mind with, say, things like the gladiator betting and things like that. But, apart from what you are thinking of in the first and second stages, what is your grand vision for Halls of Olympia, in the long run? Say if Halls of Olympia was super successful, $1 billion protocol, what do you think it'd look like?
So this is actually something that probably I see as having the longest lifespan of anything that I've ever worked on, simply because there's so much potential you can do with it, and it appeals to so many different it's so many different interests within crypto, and actually just within the normie verse, I guess I could call it. But it's true that within crypto there's a tendency for people to like be gamblers, DeFi, degenerates, and this is like a perfect um, you know, like I can't think of the right word. Um, it's like a spectacle for people to bet on, basically. It's a lot more fun than just buying a coin on Uniswap and watching the number go up and deciding whether it's the right time to sell. So, you know, that's one aspect of that. Like it obviously is going to attract a lot of users, but long term, what I want to do with it is, integrate different sports, different seasons, different tournaments, different like thematic um, offerings of like different weapons and armor. So like we want to not just like focus on the culture of ancient Greece, but have like a season where we integrate a bunch of different you know weapons from ancient Japan, so like samurai armor, katanas, things like that. And we want to integrate different game modes that are not deterministic. That obviously wouldn't have betting allowed with them because you can't have proven verified randomness. But they would be like real time controllable, so you would actually be able to control your gladiator and fight, up to the second, as that you were behind the controls. Same thing with the chariots. Like who wouldn't want to do like a Mario Kart style game with chariots where you can kill each other, kill each other's gladiators, and I mean, there's all kinds of things we want to do. I obviously can't predict the future, but should the MVP get launched, and we think it will, because we've nearly met the allocation for the private sale that we wanted to meet. Truthfully, we should have started in this route of going with a private token sale as opposed to an NFT mint. But should it fill out and be successful, we would want to keep building this for as long as we're around in the space, I guess. So 5 to 10 years, who knows? I can't predict the future, but definitely, this is definitely a thing for the long term.
According to your answers, I gotta ask a question. Some of our viewers may have, and that's, you talk about your experience and past projects, whatnot. What past projects are we talking about here? Can you reveal a bit of your experience?
So I don't know. A lot of people probably have not heard of it, but I'm the like chief communications and like logistics sort of ad hoc operations person with Rainy, which sort of started as a meme coin and sort of like became something else. Like with so many other things in crypto, we decided that we wanted to pursue something bigger and bolder once we saw the opportunity to do so. And what started as just like a meme coin centered around a rainbow unicorn, we took our passion for gaming and decided we wanted to make a card game. And in doing that, we realized that most outsourced developers and game designers were not really trustworthy. And so we built up an in-house team, and we poached some pretty high quality talent from the real world gaming. People that worked on some of the Star Wars card games and things like that. And we have an in-house team now of about 25 animators and designers and developers, and we're actually closing out a raise to about with a couple of people that I'm not going to reveal right now, but we're going to double the staff and sort of step into our shoes as a blockchain native gaming studio. And we have about 2 other games that have not been revealed yet that are in the design stage right now. But yeah, so like I've done this full time for the entire time that I've been in crypto, just focusing on GameFi. And so much of the research that I've done and the discussions I've had with people have been around GameFi and token models and what works and doesn't. So.
And you worked in Rainy, and you said this is going to be the longest lasting project. That's bullish.
Let's go.
Well, yeah. So 5 years in crypto is a million.
It really is.
Given how time scales are.
It really is. Now that I think about it, yeah. I feel like even 5 months seems like a year sometimes. Great. I'm glad to see that House of Olympia has some really ambitious goals, and I think you guys can do it. So in terms of like our audience in here today who may not know that much about Halls of Olympia. What is like the state of Halls of Olympia in right now? Like, are you guys doing a public sale, and like what is your release date looking at, et cetera, et cetera? Like, yeah.
So essentially, we've just replaced the fundraising via an NFT mint with the private sale of the token. So once that is all cleared away, we're going to begin building the MVP, and then the public sale will be held right around the time of the platform going live. In terms of the NFTs, we had several people that decided to hold on to theirs. So I will let a little alpha drop, which is that people that didn't ask for refunds, anyone that did is being fully refunded. But people that decided to trust in us and that we would actually deliver on the vision, which we are going to, for everyone that held on to their NFTs, we're going to airdrop them a dollar equivalent amount of the public token when we have the public sale, and they of course get to keep their NFTs. We're also going to airdrop them some of the special items we've been cooking up. Yeah, I guess did that answer your question?
Bullish.
Uh,
Great.
Yeah,
I think
let's
that's
go.
really great. So, just really quick. So, let's say I want to play, and I do want to play Halls of Olympia. When would you expect the timeline to be to where I as a normal average Joe can open up the game and start playing it?
So based on what we're actually planning to build, it will be between 3 and 5 months once the funding is fully in. So assuming we get fully funded at the third week of third week of April, probably would be late October by the time the game is ready for people to play.
Cool. All right.
So the public sale is in October?
Yeah, it would be held pretty much right around the time the platform goes live.
Great.
Okay, cool. Do you know a game? A very niche question. This is, but I'm curious. A game called Swords and Sandals.
I don't. Tell me about it. It sounds very interesting.
Well, Swords and Sandals was a very popular Flash game back in the day. How old are you, if I can ask?
I'm 24.
Yeah, 24 is. You're a bit younger than me, but people around my age, 30 something, lived in the golden age of Flash games, and we played Flash games on the browser for lots of times. And there was a really popular game which was Swords and Sandals that was gladiatorial combat, and it had the arena, the weaponsmith, the picture of the Acropolis you were painting. So I thought about, man, is this guy a previous Swords and Sandals player? Because it sounded so similar.
I did actually. So I'm just the right age where Flash games were my first game. My first game experience, and my parents kind of sheltered my brother and I. So we used to play on a really old Dell modem, desktop computer.
I remember those.
Games on yeah.
The
So games on
bulky-
mini.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Miniclip and addictinggames.com.
Yeah,
Oh my
Congregate.
gosh. Oh,
Congregate.
Yeah.
Armor games?
Yeah,
Armor games, anyone?
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So we come home, and that would be what we do right until we go to bed. From school, get home from school, and this all you do all afternoon. Yeah, that's some nostalgia right there. Inject it right into my veins. But so there were a lot of Flash games that we took inspiration from when we're trying to think about what we want to make. And there was a Flash game kind of similar to I think Swords and Sandals, like you described, called Achilles. You can still find it on addictinggames.com. And
I played that game.
yeah, I played that a bunch. So it's just like a Greek soldier walking in a line, fighting different enemies. But that's the one that I took a lot of the inspiration for, wanting to make this from.
Achilles.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the opening.
It is.
Yeah, I haven't played that
Well,
game.
nostalgia lane.
Definitely missed out because I didn't play that game.
Yeah, I was going to go ahead and ask you what was the inspiration behind House of Olympia, but we got to it organically. Um, so now the important question. I don't know if you're familiar with this podcast. It's pretty okay if you're not, but we basically have a twofold publishing date, um, in which we do a live version and a video version. When I do the video version, I put an animated character on the on the video to represent yourself talking. Um, I'm going to go ahead and put that Achilles, man. Is that
Yeah.
okay for you?
Oh yeah, for sure. I would love that. I would love that, man.
Let's go.
Yeah, bullish. That is bullish. Okay, man. So, as far as I know, or as far as I was able to understand, we've got a couple of ways to handle the game. I mean, you got the crafters, you got the let's say gamblers, you got the more action oriented parts and whatnot. For these miners watching here, I mean, everybody wants to play a fun game, of course, but if you're looking at making some money, what was the route you would proceed? To be a crafter?
Really, any of them. Because if you're crafting items, you're like, hypothetically, you don't intend to just hold on to them. You intend to like either use them on your own gladiator to race or to fight, or to sell them to other people. Or so if you don't want to deal with the crafting at all, you can just use the base chariot and gladiator and enter into competition, and then try to win.
Okay, so the gear affects stats as well.
Does,
I mean, you have, but you have a percentage of the result based on luck. Am I getting it right?
Yes, there always will be a little bit based on luck. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not just the guy with the best gear wins 100% of the time.
No, not at all. It's that it will be weighted based on the different characteristics, the different benefits of each item.
Oh, okay. So you can buy gear, but like each gear should be like pretty balanced. Is that what you're saying?
No, so it's like certain higher quality gear will increase your ability to win in certain matches. But there's a lot of different factors which go into play. So there will be like different battlegrounds where people that have ranged weapons, for instance, will probably have an advantage versus people that don't. It gets very technical, but even things like the location that you stand in the arena will determine like outcomes.
What? Dang. So we're even having different maps. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool that you're not deciding that the best gear always wins, because I was kind of worried about the betting on those cases.
Yeah, the entire model would just it would collapse. You would end up with
Yeah.
a system where
So I
people with the
wanted to
best gear win
clarify
every
that
time.
the odds
Yeah.
will reflect that. I mean, if you bet on the guy who has the best gear, your odds will decrease and whatnot, right?
I'm sorry, what?
Well, I'm going by the idea that, do gamblers have access to the people's gears before the races? I think they will. Like,
They'll
you
be
can
able to
see who has the
they will
best
be able to
gear,
see what
and
they have. But essentially, what we are in the game design, what we are planning to do is ensure that people like when you see someone's armor, there's so many different factors that like go together that combine to influence the net like effectiveness of a certain fighter, a certain basically determine the outcome of a match. There will be no way for people to like game the system.
I see.
Oh.
So it's an agglutination of variables that makes it very hard for people to eyeball it.
Yeah, I mean, you could look over a gladiator and think, okay, you clearly have like a fancy weapon set and a fancy like suit of armor, and decide to bet on them, and then completely screw up all the different other factors that are going to affect the outcome.
But
And
you're going to have an odds system giving different rewards for betting on different, I'd say, tiers of gladiator. Like, if you look at a guy and he has no armor, do we have any incentive to bet on that guy?
no, it's you're betting to decide, at the baseline level who wins.
Okay.
But we do want to offer people the ability to like customize any kind of bet they want. So like, there's hypothetically you could have a tournament with like 5 successive matches, and someone could place a bet on getting the outcome of each match in a row correctly. So.
Woohoo.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Imagine
So now I'm going to drop my look onto the audience, and I'm going to ask a final question. And you guys from the audience, meanwhile, if you want to ask any question about the project, drop it in the event chat for those who are watching the live version. I will ask it. So while they do that, my question to you is, any closing statements of stuff you wanted to mention here in the podcast and we didn't ask you, or we didn't think of asking you? Anything you want to tell us or the audience watching the video version later?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I will just close with the core, the thesis we have, which is that, so much in crypto is focused around, like extracting value from things, and we're all online. We're not really seeing people in person anymore. So part of the inspiration for doing this was to create something that isn't just about value extraction from other people, and is more about like collaboration and actually socializing and spending time around a shared interest. I mean, we're all atomized, a lot, and with the lockdowns that are going to happen, globally, people have been sort of cloistered away in their little boxes, and obviously that's opening back up. But I still feel that there is a place for these kinds of protocols that can help actually like allow people to interact with each other across great distances. And so that's what we're going for here. We want to make an environment that fosters like human connection around shared fun experiences. So
Great.
I will close with that in a very clunky way.
No, that was great.
Wagme vibes.
Wagme vibes. So we do have a few questions from our audience. Archer asks, is it going to like so basically first one is like, when will the NFTs be revealed? And the second question is the project on mainnet? Is the project gonna launch on mainnet, or where is it launching?
Oh, so Little Bit Alpha, we are actually working with the not Stargate, but the actual platform is live. Obviously, gaming projects, anything that has a lot of different transactions all in a short succession can't function, because you'd end up paying $15 50 times. So you would just bankrupt yourself, and then the protocol couldn't really function. So no, it will not be on ETH Layer 1, but we're still working to decide whether we're essentially going to allow people to play using any chain they want by like shunting transactions off to a scale where VRF is actually deployed. And on the team, we have the former head of VRF at Chainlink, so he knows which chains have it and which don't, and which are about to get it. And as of now, it's not deployed on Arbitrum or Avalanche, but it's scheduled to be deployed very soon. So by the time that the MVP is ready, it probably will be already on Avalanche and Arbitrum. So, but yeah, we are still deciding exactly how we want to situate that.
All right. And the first part of the question was, when can they see a visual draft of the NFTs around each time? Do you have an idea?
You actually can see them right now. We pre-rendered a certain amount of them, in the lead up to the attempt to mint out. So if you actually go to our Twitter, you can see some of the past posts we made highlighting what the avatars look like.
Okay, not sure. You can step on by their Twitter. to get a sneak peek of the NFTs then. All right, man. It was wonderful. I have no more questions. The audience has no more questions. I'm pumped. It sucks that it's on in October only. I wanted it to be like next month or something.
Well,
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
But
Please,
you gotta build it.
tomorrow.
You gotta build it.
I mean, when Lambo. But thank you for coming, man. On just such a short notice, it was great having you here. And we enjoyed this chat. I'm going to put the Achilles guy as your avatar on the video version, so you can. I mean, everyone watching this on YouTube right now is seeing Achilles since the beginning of the video, but now they know why. And that's all from me. Akarin, any
Yeah,
closing statements?
You know, really do appreciate you coming by on such short notice. Like, we know you're a busy person, so, you know, thank you very much for coming by and representing House of Olympia.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much, guys. I'm sorry I was a little bit late.
No worries, no worries.
No problem. We talked a bit about random stuff while you weren't here. It was bowling, but don't worry, because the people watching the video version are going to cut to the moment you arrived.
I'm gonna wait for an hour. I'm just kidding. Alright.
So that's everything for today, people, from the Concave and Convex podcast. Next week we got another episode coming. It's always on Friday, 3 p.m. EDT. So mark it down in your schedules. You'll get to know the guest a bit later at midweek or at the beginning of the week. I've got the meeting scheduled for Monday, but I get drugged all the time, so you heard it here first. It was a pleasure having you here. For those watching the video version, don't forget to subscribe and like, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Wag.
Bye.
Wag me.